Islam literally translates into submission to God's will. But God is an English word. In Arabic, the word is Allah. So if you hear somebody who is speaking in Arabic talking about Allah, they're talking about God. Islam is a religion which can be categorized as theistic because there is a belief in a god or gods. There is a belief in a supernatural creator. But Islam is not just theist, it's also monotheist because, like Judaism and Christianity, Islam is the religion that believes in one God. A Muslim is somebody who submits to God's will. So somebody who practices Islam is called a Muslim. Muslims believe that there is one God and only one God and no other God. So a Muslim will even be offended by the Christian idea that Jesus was part God, part man, because that would be saying something about not God as godly, and they see that as blasphemous. So in Islam, there is only one God, and Jesus is not part God. There is no other God but God. Yet, Muslims will honor Jesus and Moses and Abraham and Adam. If you look into the Quran, which is the holy book for Islam, you will see that it begins with the story of Adam and Eve, and it includes the Genesis and the Old Testament and most of the things that the Jews believe is true about Abraham and most of the things that the Christians believe is true about Jesus. The difference is that Muslims believe that Muhammad is the last prophet in a line of prophets, starting from the first man who was able to talk to God, going through Abraham, who was talking directly to God, but also through the angel Gabriel to God. And Muslims also believe in Moses and Jesus also talked directly with God, but also through the angel Gabriel. But Muhammad is also thought to exist as a prophet and to have talked through the angel Gabriel to God. So if you're Muslim, you do not believe that Jesus is the literal Son of Man, part God, part man, but you do believe that Jesus was a prophet. You also believe Moses was a prophet. You believe that Muhammad is the final prophet. So the Muslims do not reject Judaism and Christianity all the way. They believe in a lot of what they do say. Muhammad, however, is the last prophet. Muhammad, it's spelled in many different ways, is a person, not part God, who is just living his life, and while he was meditating, was met by the angel Gabriel, sent by God to give Muhammad the revelation of how humans ought to behave. So guidelines on what to do and what not to do to please God and be one with God in the afterlife. So just like Gabriel is an important figure in Christianity and Judaism, Gabriel is important to Muslims because it's through the angel Gabriel that Muhammad is given the revelations. And Muhammad is seen as a prophet for that reason. The holy month of Ramadan is in honor of Muhammad receiving the revelations from the angel Gabriel. Ramadan is the 9th month of every year according to the Islamic calendar, which follows the moon, not what the Westerners use. And according to the moon, the 9th month of every year will move. So sometimes the 9th month is in the winter, sometimes it's in spring, sometimes it's in summer, sometimes it's in fall, because it's following the moon. You fast. Every Muslim has to fast from sunrise to sunset for those 30 days. While you're fasting, what you're doing is praying and giving sacrifice, loving and accepting and embracing what God has done for humankind. So there's no eating, drinking, smoking for Ramadan, but there's also no immoral behavior, which you shouldn't be doing anyway. So that's a holy month that is celebrated every year. However, there's a lot of humanity in this. According to the rules of Islam, if you are pregnant or nursing or sick or very young or very old or in battle, then you do not have to fast, and you are allowed to eat even during the daylight hours between sunrise and sunset. But if you are able, then you absolutely must fast to celebrate Gabriel giving Muhammad the word of God to recite for man. Now, what happens after Muhammad dies will determine a split in Islam. Islam is a religion that has been cut in half, not literally in half, but in two, based on whether the Muslims believed that one person or another should be the successor of Muhammad. So after Muhammad dies, he doesn't have any kids, any males, to take over being the leader of Islam. And there is a civil war, so to speak, between the Muslims about who should be the next leader or imam. So the Shiites and the Sunnis will categorize themselves based on who they believe should be the next leader after Muhammad. Sufi is here as a different kind of way to be Muslim. Sufi is a mystical way of being Islamic. So for the most part, if you are Islamic, you believe that if you live according to God's command through your rightful actions, then you will be one with God after this life is over. But a Sufi is someone who believes that even in this life, you can find peace with God. So it's a mystical tradition within Islam. You can be Shiite and Sufi. You can also be Sunni and Sufi. Another kind of modern day spin on Sunnism is the Wahhabi tradition. Nobody is really Shiite and Wahhabi. It's a Sunni. It's very traditional, where you don't drink alcohol, you don't smoke, you don't curse, you don't practice social immorality. It's a lot stricter, you might say. But it also leads to extreme versions of Islam, which are borderline questionable whether anything like that was recited for Muhammad to write down in the Quran, the holy book. What we do know for sure is that there are 5 pillars of worshiping the Islamic version of the one true God. Any Islamic person will declare their faith by reciting the words that there is only one true God and that Muhammad is his prophet. Through prayer, Muslims pray 5 times every single day unless they're unable. There's a specific time that is set and a specific ritual and way to pray for each of those 5 times, and they pray 5 times a day. There's also a charity, that's one of the pillars of Islam. If you are Muslim, you must give to those less fortunate to you, especially to widows and orphans. And a pilgrimage to Mecca, which is in Saudi Arabia, is required if you are able. At least once in your life, if you are Muslim, you must go to Mecca. That is Muhammad's home, and there is also a large shrine there, which you would walk around 7 times, getting closer and closer to the shrine, lastly touching it before drinking from holy water and leaving. And the fifth pillar to mention is fasting. For example, during the month of Ramadan. These are the do's for Islam. There's also the don'ts. A Muslim will not eat pork. That's haram. You don't ever do that. You don't drink alcohol. So much so that you should not even eat food that is cooked with alcohol. You also do not have sex outside of marriage. So that means no premarital sex, no postmarital sex, no sex with someone to whom you're not currently married. All sex is within marriage, bound by God. You don't charge interest on a loan, so an Islamic country's federal or state banks will not charge interests on their loan. That would be against Islam. No gambling for money, and also no suicide ever, not even during war. So these are just the brief don'ts and the brief do's